Sergeant O'Leary is walking the beat. At night, he becomes a bartender. He works at Mr. Cacciatore's down on Sullivan Street across from the medical center. He's trading in his Chevy for a Cadillac. You ought to know by now. And if he can't drive with a broken back, at least he can polish the fenders. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, deep in the bowels of our underground lair, masters of warrior-style training and giving voice to the soon-to-be undefended. It's us.
Now, Jay,
yeah,
I'm glad you did not start with... You should know that song. Because then I know I would have brain farted.
Yes.
Okay?
It was kind of a softball. And seeing as you just came from softball.
Yeah, I did. And
yes,
I played very well. I am batting .652 on the season.
That's not your slugging percentage? That's your batting average?
No,
wow.
and if you're 15 for 23.
Wow.
And if you even want the new, you should see my OPS. There's all my walks, too. So if you want to, you modern baseball dorks trying to invent stats. I don't know what's worse, the stats for COVID or it's reminding me of baseball geeks now. It's like they've got the rolling 14-day average of the positivity divided by the some bull stuff. I don't know, it's horrible. Anyway, that is Mr. Billy Joel.
That is true.
Okay.
And Anthony's song, or subtitled Moving Out.
Well, whatever, doesn't matter.
But,
I got it right.
You know, you have Sergeant O'Leary living in the neighborhood, working at the local bar and grill, polishing his car.
So now, remember this now.
Yes.
Because remember, I'm going for DiMaggio.
Yes.
So we only about a year from October, I should be at 57 in a row, and I'll top Jolt and Joe.
You will not be at 57 in a row.
Okay, well, I can pretend. Okay, Jay, right into business. We waste no time.
That's
here.
right.
We waste no time. A little quick follow-ups on our last two programs, because things are moving fast here.
Yes.
Our freedoms aren't moving fast.
Well, they're moving fast in regression.
And by the way,
yes.
you and I are indoors without a mask on.
That's okay.
I want you to know that.
That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and again, we went over that law where it's illegal to conceal your face in Minnesota.
Yes.
But I guess if the governor has emergency powers to the year 2096, I guess he can just go ahead and ignore that. Now,
right.
Couple things about the mask mandate that you and I, Jay, are Mr. and Mrs. Local Government.
You're Mrs.
And we still miss. Couple things. I actually, the local media has done a horse manure job of covering COVID, except for two people. And I got to confess,
yes,
these two guys have been good the whole time. And these two guys caught a couple things about the mask mandate.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
You did.
I'm like spitting
You nailed
everywhere.
it that time.
There's COVID in the air as I say it. Okay? Look out for that surface over there. Okay, now. And that's Tom Hauser of Channel 5, Theo Keith of Channel 9.
Yes.
Caught a couple things in that I didn't even catch, and I was looking for this stuff. Okay, number one, the mask mandate is not absolute. Local governments, under this executive order, can restrict it further.
Yes, that is
Theo
true.
Keith of Channel 9 was the only one who put that out there, and I didn't see that right away. If they want to mandate that you have to have a mask on while you're sitting on the road, straining and straining, they can. If you have to put a mask on in your backyard, they can. If they want a mask on to, swimming, they can do that.
That would be a dumb idea.
It would be a dumb idea.
It'd be like waterboarding somebody.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, here's the thing. And that is absurd. I mean, are we going to go from city to city to city? Walking to a gas station in one city, and you're pumping gas, you have to have your mask on in one city. And it's not intrusive enough.
Right.
Okay, that every city can, any entity, a county, anybody can take this further than the governor's already taken it.
Yes.
Now, two other things. And I give it to Tom Hauser at Channel 5 because he's the only one that really pressed on this. there is no, of course, with Walls, there's no end date to anything. He never.
Oh no.
There's no specifics. There's no science. No. There's no. Nothing he can point to as a metric that he's using. And if he does, it's something different every time. 1 minute.
Kids might go back to school. They might not. I don't know.
Well, we'll get to that. 1 minute, it's ICU beds we got to worry about. Well, when there's not enough of them, we got to shift to deaths. Well, when they're down in single digits, we got to shift to cases. Then they got to go to case positivity rate. Then they got to go to how many tests happened on the weekend. Then they got. I mean, it's like saying. The Twins are 6-0 on Wednesdays this year. I mean, that's what it's gotten to,
right?
Because they have to push the fear, they have to push the bad news.
Yeah.
And another thing he pointed out is something that Jan Malcolm X also said. That she said the mask is the best thing we can do. Quote, until there's a vaccine,
which could be never.
So if you want to know how long this might last. Okay. Now, there are some clinical trials that just started. I think 3.
Yeah.
President Trump touted them the other day, which I didn't even know about. And Pfizer said that they might have one by the end of the year. I mean, it's moving. I mean, I hope that's true. Okay. Yeah. But so they're moving more rapidly on this than I ever thought. But the idea that we're going to have a mask on, so everybody contracts it. Okay, let's just pretend. But we're going to keep a mask on because there's no vaccine.
I mean, keep in mind, though, the common cold is also a coronavirus. We do not have a cure for that. We have ways to treat it. We do not have a cure. There's no vaccine for the common cold. And there are other sicknesses that go around that are coronaviruses as well. Again, no vaccines.
Yeah, and I don't know how we can develop one for this and we can't for another. I don't know if that research there are things. We mentioned AIDS in one of our previous episodes and how they have not found a cure, but they found
ways to treat it.
Yeah, that it's not the death sentence that it was 25 years ago or so. And people are living 15, 20 years with the HIV virus or longer.
Yeah.
So, I remember, Arthur Ashe is the guy who always comes to my mind who had AIDS and boom, he just. Today, he'd probably still be alive if he had gotten it 10 years later.
I'd tell you this, though. I mean, being a musician, it wouldn't be out of character for me to have a bunch of tattoos. I don't have any. And I'm starting to get to the point where I'm taking a little bit of pride in that because everybody's got tattoos now, so.
I don't have any.
Yeah, you and I are trendsetters. So. I would consider getting one, though, if this goes on long enough. Because I'd say, being an asthmatic, it is really hard to wear those. You're asthmatic? I am.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Can't you hear?
I can't hear
that wheezing?
I can't hear anything. That's just you complaining about.
No.
Sounds like your car not starting.
It is hard to wear them for long periods of time, when you're indoors in places. And, especially if you have trouble breathing. So I would consider getting a mask tattooed on my face.
Really?
If it looks like this is going to go for a long time, that might, maybe I can kind of fake people out.
No, you know what you got to do? Yes. What they're doing at my office, because we aren't exempt from this.
Oh, I'm sure.
And Tuesday, I had to wear one for 9 hours at my day job. Then I went to sell pull tabs at night. I wore one for 15 hours. I wore one. I told my wife, she's a nurse, she's had to wear one the whole time. I said, honey, you are beyond an all-star.
Yeah.
For having, I understand why she's huffing and puffing all the time. I mean, it is, and my day job. We were under the understanding we would not be a part of it because we are not a customer-based job.
Right.
It's my office. It's our production floor. I don't want to say where I work, but I mean, point being that people are not going in. The only people going in and out are truck drivers, and you're usually wearing a mask anyway. The companies usually say, look, wear a mask when you go inside, fine. And other than that, it's the same. I sit by the same 15 ugly people every day. I mean, there's just no... And my station is at least 6 feet from anybody. I mean, the company has, they have taken the precautions that they're supposed to. And so it's kind of like, why now, do we have to wear a mask?
Yeah.
And we got guys doing welding and stuff. I mean, their mask fogs
already wearing
up.
a mask.
They're fogging up their safety glasses,
Right.
and we've gotten permission now to wear the face shields. But
Right.
it's just
It's ridiculous.
it's stupid. It's getting stupid.
Well, it frustrates me when I go into these businesses and it says, please help us to keep our business open, wear a mask. These
businesses are under threat.
should not be threatened by the government.
Yeah.
We're going to close you if you don't do this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
They should not have to live in fear of keeping their business open and making a living.
yeah. Well, when one guy holds all the power, and you got Joseph Stalin holding all the power, I mean, who can just at their whim decide what's essential, what's not essential, what's capacity, what's not. I mean, they are living week to week. Right now. I mean, that's what they're doing. And some of these businesses were closed down for months. Now, okay, Jay, I want to move on real quick.
Yes.
To the school thing about Bobber.
Okay.
Okay, first off, two things.
Okay.
You and I spoke off camera that you didn't see the press conference today.
Yeah, I did not.
Consider yourself lucky.
I'm a bad news.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Look, I took the bullet for both of us here.
That's good.
I took the bullet in the left butt cheek for the two of us by having to listen to this. First off, this is really politically incorrect. But Tim Wall, I thought Bill Clinton had the ugliest administration that I'd ever seen in my life. And I honestly have to say, I didn't think anybody could top Madeleine Albright and Donna Shalala and Janet El Reno, but Tim Walz is giving it a good chance here. With the people he has around him. Okay, it is an ugly administration. I just want. Can we bring the governor of South Dakota over just she can have a 10-minute appointment for something just so I got something good to look at. I don't care what she says. I mean, can we do that? Can Nikki Haley come up here for 15 minutes?
I didn't realize government was a beauty pageant.
Well, I can't listen to these people.
Well,
okay?
that does make it hard when you can't listen to them and you can't look at them.
I can't do either. If I were deaf, I'd hate it just as much as if I were having to watch. Okay, so it's awful. We can have. Okay. You can have. I would give anything. I would pay to have my wife go up there, the most beautiful woman in the world to me.
Yes.
I'd like her to do this. I could even hate what she said, but at least I could look at her. Okay?
I know her well enough to say that she would not recite this pablum that the governor would make her say.
Okay, but first off,
it would be the shortest lived job since.
it'd be very short. Yes. Now, they talked for an hour and 7 minutes.
Oh, my word.
5 different people. We had to endure Peggy Flanagan. We had to endure Malcolm X. And then the 2 education people who were just orgasmic at Walz's big plan of nothing. Okay? And then Walz got, testy and he was shouting. And I mean, he was all over the place. It was almost like he'd had a stroke in the middle of the speaking because he was just up and down all over the place. Anyway, here's the plan. Okay, now, Jay, we closed schools.
Yep.
The first day the kids did not go to school was March 16th.
Mm-hmm.
So today's July 30th. We've had 4.5 months of closed schools.
Yes.
We've waited and waited. Parents, teachers, daycare providers, bus drivers, kitchen staff,
school nurses,
administration, nurses, jobs where parents work at, youth sports. We have waited with bated breath. Well, I haven't, but 4.5 months. And guess what the master plan is from the governor?
I don't know. You can do it yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, we'll just. I mean, if he was going to do that, he could have given the speech in May.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
then they couldn't have written up the hundreds of pages of
Let me tell you something.
They want them to follow.
There are hundreds of pages. I read Old Man and the Sea when I was in college, and it is shorter than this. Okay. War and Peace, Moby Dick is shorter.
Yes.
Yeah, it's shorter than this. So basically, we sat and speculated for a whole show about what was going to happen, and basically, well, I don't know.
I don't want to make a decision. You decide, but here's what you got to do if you're going to do it.
And here's what they have. They want cases per. Okay, we're back to cases again.
Oh, yes.
Per 10,000 in your county to decide what you do. I know. You're giving me a goofy look. I don't understand it either. They were talking about how you couldn't have more than, it was something like you were good to go if you had 10 cases for every 10,000 people. Now, here, let me put that in perspective. Target Field has about 40,000 seats.
Yes.
40 seats is about 2 rows at Target Field. That is alarming to the Minnesota Health Department.
Yeah.
2 rows.
And let me just say this, I guess. Living in the most populous county in Minnesota, because we have Minneapolis.
Over 1 million people. It's over 1 million people. Over 1 million people.
But nobody else in the county goes to Minneapolis because it's terrible.
Yeah, they're getting out of there. They all want out.
Well, there is that. I guess the COVID can escape that way. People are flooding like.
It's not like the good old days. Okay, when I went to the Robbinsdale district way back when, there was a road right by North Memorial Hospital. I can't remember what it was.
Is that France?
I don't know, but it was called the DMZ. That's what we called it. The Minneapolis kids were not safe to cross that.
Yeah.
We were not safe to cross that. The DMZ.
Oh, it wouldn't be France. So you're talking it would
right
cross
after
81.
That. Right after that.
It crossed 81.
Yeah.
So it was
wherever
like
Minneapolis starts, right after the hospital. I can't think.
Over by
there's a bridge and
what do they call that? Paradise Pizza or whatever, or with it has the.
All I know is I never crossed that line.
Right.
Okay, I did not do it. There was just an understanding. Okay, but I mean, you look at, say, a school district out in Minnetonka or Wayzata having to look at Hennepin County, or the Anoka-Hennepin district, where my nephews are in, is Anoka County and Hennepin County. You've got Champlin, you've got in the northern part of Brooklyn Park, and then you've got the other side, which is Coon Rapids and Anoka, and they're all one district.
Yeah, so which county do you go with?
Well, I mean,
both of them?
Well, and then they have this confusion between, by the way, private schools do not have to follow this. They can do what they want.
Yes.
Charter schools, who technically are a quasi, they have to follow this.
Yes.
But there is also the elementary school versus the high school thing, because they're saying, well, elementary schools are so much smaller that they can be at a different. You can have person at the elementary and some sort of whatever bull stuff at the high school. And here's the other catch. And let me now look. You're a dad, okay? I'm not. Yeah. You got a kid in school still.
Yes.
They do not have to make a decision. Okay, stop for a minute. School starts on September 8th. That's the Labor Day's a little later this year. They do not have to make a decision until September 1st.
Yep.
So we've been waiting for this day, and you could have up to 5 more weeks of waiting. So you want to go back to your job or find a job or have daycare, or you don't know if your kid's playing sports. You don't know if they're going to be home 2 days, gone 2 days, there the whole time, not there at all. I'm sorry. That is simply unacceptable. And you know what? I don't care what this governor says. He is lying through his teeth. He knew he was going to do this weeks ago.
Oh, of course.
He has
just like he knew he was going to keep everything shut down for 3 months ahead of time.
He has teased this week.
Yes.
And he talked about, we'll make a decision, we'll announce it on July 3rd. He said that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Why don't you just announce it then?
Well, here's the thing.
I think it's to build up.
He made this so complicated.
Oh, my God.
The schools really are going to be able to come up with a plan and get this in order by the end of August? Is there anything in there to say
it's going to take a month just to read it?
Right. So I'm almost wondering, and
now you're gonna be a little cynical here.
No, super secret sources have kind of told me that it's possible schools might not start with in-person learning on time. It might be into September, later September, before they even go back, if the school district decides to do that.
It's a conspiracy. There's just no question.
This thing is so complicated, and it's complicated on purpose because he doesn't want the kids going back to school, but he doesn't have the guts, the intestinal fortitude to make the decision himself.
But you've got to hand it to the governor. Only he could make a decision that literally everybody hates.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing.
That's true.
Here's the thing. If they didn't go back or they all went back, you could never satisfy everybody. There'd be pockets that were happy with that, pockets that were frustrated about it, pockets that loved it. You couldn't satisfy everybody with that. But to dither and dither and dither and then come up with, okay, here comes the big announcement.
Yeah.
Oh, the announcement is now you have to wait for your... I mean, he's literally come up with a plan that, I mean, everybody has... I've been following social media, and I don't just follow people who agree with me.
Right.
Okay, I don't. And he is not getting rave reviews for this. And I think the performance of everybody today was pretty rough. I mean, just so, hey, maybe you'll find out late by Labor Day what's going to happen. I mean, to put the idea that this took thousands of hours, Jay, to work on this that you and I paid for. Thousands of hours.
And they knew. I mean, the governor has known the whole time that he didn't want school to open. Now, here's the thing.
He considered reopening in May. He sat there and dithered.
But here's what he was confused about.
Well, he's confused about a lot.
He's confused about a lot. But concerning he was confused about how to keep them closed without accepting the responsibility for keeping them closed.
Yeah, now he's dumping on somebody else. No, it's not on
and that's
him.
the thing. Everybody probably wants to say, local control. I mean, the supporters of this governor, local control. Look what he did. That's amazing. Look at you guys have been shouting about local control. Now you got local control, but he is still pulling all of the strings with the way that he is regulating the schools. In order to make your choice on whether you open or not, you have to do exactly what we say.
And I'm going to take
That's not local control.
Okay, one more quick point, and then we'll move on.
Yes.
He talked about this amazed me that this governor could look in the camera and say this. Oh, we can't treat every area of the state the same. It's like, what the hell have you been doing for 5 months?
What did you just do with a mask mandate?
Or closing every
Lake of the
Lake of the Woods County was shut down for 3 months. They didn't have one case. They finally got a case after 5 months.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I mean, not good they got the case, but I'm glad that the governor's plans worked out
it's like
after 5 months.
He's done a one-size-fits-all this entire time. When it comes to schools, all of a sudden, things are different in Yellow Medicine County than they are over in... Really?
We've been telling you that for months.
No, if you got your ass out of St. Paul, your dead ass out of St. Paul once in a while, maybe you'd know that. All right.
Well, worked up today.
God, why do you do that to me?
Me?
No, just every time you say something, I think of an even worse thing to say. By the way, speaking of worse,
pushing
your buttons are on auto push. All right, Jay, let's move on. To the
an even cheerier subject.
Even gooder is this police reform bill or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what they call it. Who cares? Doesn't matter.
It's police reform school they got to go to, right?
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Here is the first thing that sounds my alarm. I tried to read this thing, but once again, it's like reading Shakespeare. I need Cleland notes to understand it. But here is the thing that really scares me when this thing passed. Mm-hmm. Okay? Huge bipartisan votes.
Yeah.
Secret negotiations. Mm-hmm. Everybody finds out what's in it 2 days later.
Yeah.
That is a red flag. Forget Republican, Democrat. I don't care. They both suck. That is when I get the woe. Because you know how the legislature works. They debate things for months and they don't do anything.
Generally, that is the case.
And then they hodgepodge everything at the end. And, they all try to claim victory, and they all look like idiots. And it's just like, God, it's every time. It doesn't matter who's in charge. Okay? Same thing here. Remember in June, we had the big hearings and powerful debate. We come here to July, and a couple guys go behind closed doors. They presented a bill. I want to get this right.
Yes.
Okay? Because, I don't want...
Please do. We strive for accuracy here.
Most of the time.
Community Solutions, Minnesota.
Because there was, hold on, let me find, negotiated in secret, of course. No surprise, that's how everything. The bill was given to lawmakers at 9 p.m. Monday night. I believe that was July 21st, I want to say. It was passed by the House at 2 a.m. Okay.
Oh, I'm sure they read it all.
And remember, a lot of them weren't there. A lot of them were voting because they didn't want so many people. A lot of them were voting remotely.
Yes.
So some of them, if you zoomed in, you may not have gotten a copy of this till midnight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lyndon still hasn't woken up from his nap to check his inbox.
Yeah.
Somehow he voted on it.
Rip Van Linden, probably still sleeping. By the way, there's a primary for that.
Yeah.
Cedric Frazier and Donna Dumpster or something. I don't know what her last name is. Something like that.
I'm sure she appreciates
that. It's dope. I apologize.
I don't remember what it is.
Pierre, Dobstery or something.
As long as it isn't Robespierre.
It's not. No guillotines going on around here. So it was, and a few people on principle, actually, on both sides, voted against it for that reason, or one of the main reasons. The bill was praised as creating modern accountability framework of laws that will help end the type of police brutality that killed George Floyd, said Representative Carlos Marinera. I don't know. Mariani, I'm sorry. Who chairs the House Public Safety Criminal Justice Reform, Finance, and Policy Division. Boy, they're lining up for that.
Yeah.
What is in this bill, Jay, that was passed? Evil in secret.
Well, there were two bills, as we all know. There's the Democrat bill, which was terrible, and the Republican bill, which was slightly less terrible.
So, as Charles Barkley would say, man, those bills are terrible. They're just terrible bills. Yeah. Okay, and then that's usually we get the DFL and the DFL Lite.
Yes.
We get the two wonderful choices that we always get.
Right.
If you're going to get more government shoved up your rear end, do you want us to go all the way through your small intestine, or should we stop at your gallbladder? I mean, that's pretty much what they're doing, okay? Okay, bad analogy.
Yeah. Well, so there were these two bills, and they, like you say, went into secret negotiations, whittled it down. So I think people probably had a sense of what was in there. I don't think they had a sense of what was taken out. Not that quickly, anyways. As we all know, they were going after chokeholds. They were going after warrior-style training, whatever that is, neck restraints, and so I guess I don't know what neck restraints are. Is that like locking something around somebody's neck? Is that like putting somebody in a headlock?
Side headlock?
Yeah,
I don't know.
All it takes is a little Irish whip to get out of that.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm the master of the reversal. I can do a reversal on that. It might take me about 13 seconds, but I can do it. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. It's weird because if you want to subdue somebody,
yes,
okay. I mean, I don't know. Are you supposed to put them in the figure four, or are you supposed to, I mean, I'm just saying.
Right.
You kind of have to, get in situations where if you're on. Here's the thing. we always can sit here and armchair quarterback this stuff. And look, I always say this. I am not a police hater. I'm not a police apologist. I judge everything on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
The police make mistakes. Everybody who gets arrested, some people are innocent. Okay, so let's be honest here about that. And I think sometimes it can get off that you're a public servant. I'm not here to serve. I shouldn't be afraid of the police. I shouldn't be, they should be serving the public, and I think some of them aren't. I think there's some tactics and things that I don't like, and I'm not going to get too far into that. But so I am not against some changes here, okay? But when I see things like banning a chokehold, that split-second decision, especially if a police officer is being attacked, in the bar fights and stuff that I've gotten in my life, Jay, I can tell you that it ended when me or the other person, I'll just say that, got put in a headlock and somebody leaned down, and that was kind of the end of it. I mean, we can, you can get all the eye gouges and all the back rakes and everything else, but I don't understand. Look, this is not kneeling on somebody's neck for 10 minutes. Okay, that's not what they're talking about here.
No.
It's any
that
kind
was
of,
never legal.
Right. That's assault and attempted murder.
Yes.
Okay? But the idea that a police officer couldn't put a guy who's out of control or on drugs or drunk or attack somebody, puts them in a head. You don't know who has a gun on you or a knife. And then what? The officer's going to get charged with something?
I mean, it's one thing if you have a compliant.
Right. I mean, again, totally. Yeah.
That would be over the top. This is for somebody that wants to resist arrest, wants to fight back, wants to put the officer's health or life in jeopardy. There needs to be a measure that's commensurate with the level of force being used by the perpetrator.
But there's got to be some room for leeway here.
Yeah.
Everything's not so black and white.
Now, chokeholds, I think that's probably not good. But, I mean, to
again, though,
a perp,
okay, standing there choking somebody till their eyes are popping out.
Right.
Or holding someone for 10 seconds until they calm down are two hugely different things.
Right.
So it's kind of, I'm sort of kind of thinking,
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't. And I still don't get where the line is between self-defense, subduing somebody, and doing a criminal act. And I think if you give the police a confused answer, okay, remember, these are people who wear bulletproof
know
vests.
what to do.
Or they're going to be on the defensive all the time, and they can't be that.
Yeah,
they can't protect the public and fall back because you're afraid to get,
Well, let's bring in a little sports analogy here. Yeah. Remember when they changed the rules in football? It's like you can't hit the quarterback, in certain places at certain times. You can't, And so you have all these defensive backs that pull up short, they don't hit hard, they miss a tackle, quarterback still gets sacked, but you see a lot more in the way of missed tackles, you see a lot more in the way of just apprehensive play, and sometimes being apprehensive leads to more injuries.
Yeah, and inconsistent penalty calling, I think, is another issue. But like I always say, you watch a football game in the 80s and you see a big hit, like, yeah. Guy got the snot knocked out of him. See that today? That guy's suspended.
Yep.
It's way...
And it has changed the way...
What if Ronnie Lott could play today?
Yeah, I don't know.
Jack Tatum. I don't know that they could. You know, I mean, you got Dick Butkus. He like chewed on guys at the bottom of piles.
Richard Dent.
Yeah.
I mean, he would
he was the whole '85 Bears team. Would be playing for free.
But I mean, it's the same way though. When we're looking at the way that you have to make a split-second decision in the middle of a very stressful situation, and if you don't do if you don't do the right thing, you risk either getting hurt or killed, or facing a legal challenge later. So what does that do to you? Because it makes you apprehensive. You step back. You don't, you know, it takes away your instinct is what it does. And as a police officer, instinct is everything.
Well, yeah, you don't know if that car you pulled over for a broken taillight is somebody's going to blow your head off.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and I understand that these guys and gals, I mean, they know that. I mean, that's their job. I mean, I had a friend, I remember when he went to Iraq, I said, I thanked him, and he looked at me and goes, man, it's a job. You know, that's just the way they are. And so, you know, it's just, I understand they get it, but you keep going on this. Outlawing warrior training that dehumanizes people or encourages aggressive conduct. That's literally what the provision is.
Yes.
Dehumanizes someone.
So
what is that? Stripping them down to their shorts and I
could be, or it's like that Three Stooges stuff where they slap you, watch the hand, and
Okay.
That always made Larry look like a doofus.
That just to me that sounds like a bunch of political speak. You know, when I see something like that, they're victim creating or something like that, you know.
Warrior style training. I mean, when I think of that phrase, I think of like martial arts, which is more about self-defense than it is attacking anyways.
Well, always remember the great words of Miyagi. Okay, from Buddy Kid. Me no do this for points. Me do this for defense. You know, actually, let me just say this. You know what my favorite part of Karate Kid is? The first one?
What?
Okay, when they're standing at the sign-in, okay, and Miyagi and Daniel-san and Daniel-san's girlfriend or whatever, I forget the lady's name from
Elizabeth
from Cocktail.
Shu, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
When they're standing there and Miyagi, she's his interpreter. Remember that part?
Yeah.
And Miyagi goes, and Elizabeth Shue says something, and that means blah, blah, blah. And Miyagi goes, because that's what it sounds like to me, Charlie Brown's teacher. And then she says to the guy running the thing, he says, you're a very nice man. And the guy goes, well, thank you. And Miyagi goes, you're welcome.
He goes, welcome.
So anyway, I mean, it is for self-defense, though. I mean, that's no different, though, than any citizen taking a class for self-defense. There's people who do that.
So you're telling me, I mean,
you're not. Bruce Lee. Yeah?
These people are telling me, when warrior-style training, that they're training police officers to dehumanize people.
Well, I don't know what
they're
doing.
not training officers to dehumanize people.
I don't know what they're doing, but it's just, and is everybody participating in this training? Who administers this training? Is it done at the local police department level? Or is this part of the cadet training? And there's a lot of levels, though. Yeah. Community service officers, canine units. I mean, everybody's not just a beat cop.
Detectives.
Lieutenants. Yeah. I mean, so anyhow, all right, to move on.
Yes.
Here's an interesting one. I don't get this. Creation of special independent unit, they said unit, at the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension for Okay, there we go. Investigations of fatal police encounters. Now, you say police encounters. Is that when the police are the victim or are the victimee?
The assailant, I guess.
Okay.
Yes.
Don't we have that? It's called internal affairs.
Yeah. But it's not just for when the police kill people. It's also when they're accused, not guilty, when they're accused of sexual misconduct. Why is that thrown in here? Was that a big problem? I didn't hear.
What did that have to do with George Floyd?
I don't know.
Okay, but I mean, if you create another investigative arm with one that already exists, who has jurisdiction at that point? Now, let's say Internal Affairs clears an officer, and the Special Independent Unit of Bureau of Criminal Apprehensions for Investigations of Fatal Police Encounters, you can say that 10 times.
Yes.
Let's say they come to a different conclusion. Is it up to the county attorney then to?
No, it's not, because that's. Well, I don't know where they landed in this bill. Maybe we'll.
I don't think so. I don't think the power got taken from the county attorney.
I don't think so.
I think that
they
was,
had wanted to. The Democrats
that
had
was
wanted
in
to give
their,
that power to the
Attorney General. That was in the Democratic bill. I don't think that made it into this.
I don't think it did either.
Here's another. So what happens though when you have two arms investigating something?
Well,
and that's like having the IRS and an independent auditor both going after your taxes. Who's right?
Yeah. Well, I suppose that it would go in front of a grand jury or something, and see if they can
ultimately
bring charges up or not.
Okay, but a county attorney would have to submit that to a grand jury with charges,
which would make sense if the county attorney's still in charge.
Okay.
So I guess it falls more on the county attorney and
but what does that change,
both of those.
But the county attorney does that anyway.
Right.
They don't have to follow the recommendations of the IA department.
No.
They can come to their own. They can do their own investigation.
I don't think they'll have to follow the recommendations of this.
So what is either. This a touchy-feely group that's going to, I mean, I don't get it. Okay, how about this? What is this? We're going to drown everybody in paperwork.
Yes.
More required reporting around use of force incidents. So there's not enough paperwork now. We got to write up. Got to write up another summary here. You know what they're going to do? They're going to write up a summary until they get what the result they want.
Yeah.
You're going to fill out forms. It's kind of like going to the doctor. Doctor, I got this friend who's got an itch, and you're going to sit there and do every test till you find something wrong.
Right.
A hypochondriac's going to go in there. Take my blood. There's nothing wrong with you. All right, take my blood pressure. All right, look at my left toenail. All right, there's nothing wrong. They're going to go till they find an issue.
Right.
God, gee whiz. And just think, this passed the Minnesota Senate 60-7. Okay, I mean, a resolution that today is June 30th would not pass by that margin. Okay, yet this does. Okay, I move on, Jay.
Yes.
I move on. Establishment of new Community Relations Advisory Council to consult with the police officers' standards and training board on policy changes. So they're going now. Again, I go back to: does every city have to do this? Every sheriff's department? Is there one board that is? Now, remember what consulting means. Okay, you hire a consultant, Jay. They may give you 10 ideas. You might use 3 of them.
Yes.
Okay, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for advice. Nobody takes 100% of it.
Right.
So is this who's on this committee? Establishment, meaning it doesn't exist.
Right. This is something new.
So
more government oversight.
So who appoints them?
Well,
for how long? Now, any details there, Minnesota legislature?
No.
And I love, our local media really getting into that. I mean, they're really digging deep, right? You've seen big time stories and in-depth analysis.
Tired of hearing about it.
Oh my God. Training for peace officers. When did they start calling it peace officer? For dealing with people with autism or in a mental health crises, de-escalation training for situations that turn volatile. Let me tell you something. I used to sell uniforms to these guys. They go through more de-escalation training than you could possibly imagine.
Yes.
With hostage situations and things like that. Crisis management. You dial 911, okay? Everything is about de-escalation, whether it's medically, whether it's a crime, hostage situation, terrorist attack, whatever. De-escalation is focused on already with overkill. But we're gonna have touchy-feely class now.
Oh yeah.
That's what we're gonna have. We're gonna have you say tomato, I say tomato. And you can only say tomato now. That's what we're gonna do. I mean, it's just here's the kicker of anything. Okay, lawmakers met. I'm reading this from NPR News. I should say this. The title is "Legislature Passes Policing Bill Ends Special Sessions." It's by Brian Baskett from Baked. I follow him on Twitter. I probably shouldn't butcher his name. Baket. I don't KST. Basked.
Sure.
Okay. Pardon me. I don't know names. This is published on July 21st. Okay, so on nprnews.org. So if you want to, like Herb Carneal says, if you want to score at home. Okay, cities and counties. So I assume this includes sheriff's departments.
Yeah, it
would.
would.
There's no county police department.
Right.
Okay. Could offer incentives, perhaps, which tells me it's not limited to this. Perhaps property tax breaks or fix up loans to encourage officers to live in the communities they patrol, but it will not be mandated. That's worse than what do you call it? TIF. That's worse than that.
Yeah, it is. Let me tell you this, though. I don't think it would be a super popular proposal from a police officer standpoint, because if I was a police officer, in Jerkwater, USA, let's say.
That's from Rambo, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would never be living in the city where I'm arresting people. I wouldn't do it. Why? Because they're going to come find me when they get out. How many times have you seen that in a movie, too?
Especially if you ride your bike or walk. Walkability.
Would I want to have my kids and my wife, who are not trained, subject to a criminal who gets out of jail that I arrested? No.
And how easy today is it to stalk somebody, find somebody?
I know. It's a stupid provision. I mean, when I was a teacher, there are some teachers that live in the communities they teach, but it's rare. Well, why? Because they fail kids, and they don't want kids throwing water balloons at their houses or egging them, or
deal with their parents at the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the other thing: can a job, require you to live in a city? I know that. We talked off camera or off the air about. I know that there are requirements on firefighters to live within a certain distance.
Right, and that's just so you can get to the fire. Yeah. That's understandable.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, you can go to that fire department if you live. But I mean, to say we're gonna give you a property. Look, here are the local governments who can't deal with one less eraser, one less piece of toilet paper, one less, can of Windex, but they can offer, a property or fix up loans, and it is not limited to that. That's all going to be part of their package, and they're all going to be trying to outdo each other.
Oh yeah.
No, come to Wayzata. Yeah. Live here. Pretty soon they'll be living for free.
It'll be part of their benefits package.
Yeah, which, is already a lot when it comes to a lot of these public positions.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I respect the police like you. Course, I'm not an apologist, but I'm not, I'm not anti-police by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm sorry, we shouldn't be giving them free stuff to live in the city. And again, from the police officer's standpoint, there is no way I am living in the city that I serve, especially if I'm married with kids, because I would fear for their lives every day. And going back to my point, how many movies have you seen where a guy gets out of jail, right, and he hunts down the officer's family while he's trying to find them and uses them for leverage? You want to think that doesn't happen? Sure. And even if it's not for leverage, just revenge. I mean,
they hunt down district attorneys sometimes too.
Absolutely.
By the way, with all this,
stupid idea.
But I mean, Jay,
yes.
Two things though. First off, this isn't it. Okay, and both sides have basically agreed this is not it.
Yes.
Senator Warren Limmer of Maple Grove, who chairs the Senate Judiciary and Public Safety, Finance, and Policy Committee. Boy, does every
buddy.
They all have to have 10 words.
Yes.
Called the bill, quote, a good first step in affecting responsible policing in the state of Minnesota. A good first step. Now, again, Jay, you and I know this code language.
Yes.
Meaning, we're not done here.
Mm-hmm.
This is all they could sneak in one bill in late July when everybody's out on vacation, finally after being locked up for months. So, and some Democrats are not happy that this is not the fundamental change that criticize that is lacking teeth to punish police. Let's see. Senator Patricia Torres Ray of Minneapolis voted no. We know this bill is not actually the bill communities of color want. I guess everybody of color. Yeah, by the way, white people are a color too. Mm-hmm. Okay, so she has the pulse on everybody, and that's not what they want. Senator Jeff Hayden of Minneapolis is the one that said, we DFLers fought for weeks for a robust accountability measure and a transformative criminal justice on this bill, and we think this bill falls short. So both sides have indicated that we are not done here. Now, I don't know if by the time, if they don't really take this up again until January with a new legislature, and we don't know what that will look like, or we got to meet again on, I believe, August 13th, I want to say.
Yeah, it's going to be about there.
Something like that. Every 30 days, we got to meet.
Yeah, so the governor's got to re-up his
keep the dictator going.
His Caesar powers. Yes.
So, I mean, and I want to say one more thing before we close it out here. That the biggest concern I have is kind of what you talked about the schools, Jay. I mean, you're going to get guidelines, requirements, recommendations. Nobody really knows, as far as I'm concerned, what is expected here. And local taxpayers, local governments, and all that are going to pick up the tab for this stuff.
Right.
And that's really, really worrisome, that all this training, all this, touchy-feely class, the cadet stuff, the investigations. I mean, there's going to be state dollars are going to be put into this, no doubt about it. So, I mean, and by the way, I mean, a local government could take this further, couldn't they?
Yeah, they can. I don't know if they could demand that officers live in the city. We're offering these great perks, but you need to live here, if you're going to be part of the force. Don't know if, they're already wearing body cams and stuff like that, so it would be, I think, easy to tell if they're using too much force based on the situation. I mean, part of the problem is we're rushing justice, too. Something happens, and we want somebody behind bars with a life in prison term tomorrow, and we don't want to let justice run its course and figure out what really happened.
Yeah, I want to say, too, the House passed the bill 102 to 29. And it was 60 to 7. in the Senate. So that's large. I mean, I don't know if anything's passed by that.
And there's a lot of those that didn't pass it that were just angry because it didn't go far enough.
Right. I mean, you had opposition on both sides. Some people who said that it was too much. Some people who said it was too little. So you kind of had kind of a mix of everything there. Yeah. It was just, but I mean, I think you're going to see more. I think you're going to see listen to the words, transform the police.
Yes.
Basically, shoot them at the knee and create something else. Here's what I want to know, too. Minneapolis, they just banned, what is it? You can't walk up to the bar and get a drink, but you can sit on your ass and they'll serve you a drink? Bars and restaurants are still
bar
open.
Areas. So, yeah, you're allowed to be served. You're not allowed to walk up and, sit around and or ask for.
I thought you could sit at the bar. You just couldn't stand there and crowd and gather.
Maybe. I haven't read the whole thing.
Here's my question. Yes. Who's enforcing that? Good old Mayor French Fry. I mean, who's going to...
They're going to leave a lot of that to bartenders and waitresses and
so it's a mandate that they push on businesses hostesses. To pass.
Yeah. Self-police yourselves. Otherwise, if you start, showing that you're a hot spot, we'll shut you down.
Yeah, what's a hot spot? That's what
it's going to be. It's the same thing with masks. It's the same thing, You police yourselves, because if you don't, we're going to shut you down. That's how they do it. That way they can say, oh, we're not arresting people for this. We're not fining people for this.
Well, keep in mind, I mean, that they can't anyway. Remember, they don't want police there.
Right.
So
there is that.
Who's going to do it?
They're going to send out the alcohol addiction counselors.
Yeah, they're going to send out the bar standing around specialists. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, it's nuts, and it's such a look. These places are either open or they're not. I mean, we're just the idea everybody's going to police all that is just absurd. Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Right. Well, and this goes into a lot of the demands as we look across the country for getting rid of the police, reducing their role in the community, defunding them, pushing them out of certain sectors. When you're looking at Black Lives Matter Inc., when you're looking at Antifa, when you're looking at Thousand Currents, in the way that they're passing money around and receiving money.
Well, I worry about federal legislation, which has been stopped right now. But
it is right now. But you look at the people that are passing this. I mean, you have, Weather Underground and communist activist Susan Rosenberg up in the Thousand Currents Tides Foundation.
Any relation to Julius?
Yes.
Surprised
I don't know. Who went to prison, was
pardoned by
Bill Clinton, and sitting there and doling out billions of dollars to all of these.
Yeah. By the way, where are these billions of dollars going? I mean, if this billions of dollars, it's like government that was actually spent on communities of color, paying for college, getting them a job, housing, vehicles, clothes.
Yes.
We wouldn't have any poverty. So where the hell is that? Well, I mean, it's another show.
Black Lives Matter was given over $1 billion.
Yeah, so $1.6
billion. Yeah. What are they doing?
And why doesn't anybody care who gave them money?
A bunch of money was spent on travel for their leadership.
Yeah. It's all on politics, lobbying. I mean, that's where it's all going to go.
It never goes to the people that it's supposed to help.
The top people will make six figures who are doling it out. That's what's going to happen. They're and the people who gets rich on it.
And at the top of BLM, you've got people who revel in the fact that they're trained Marxists. They're trying to disintegrate the nuclear family. They want to pass Marxist policies.
And of course,
they want to get Marxist training into our schools because they're coming up with a BLM curriculum.
Let's call that warrior training so that we can't have that.
Yes.
All right, Jay.
It's social justice warrior training, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Social Justice Warrior Training. SJWT.
Yes.
All right. All right. Again, you people can look if you want to painfully read this bill. It is available after it was passed, of course. Then you can read it. We all know how that works. It's HF1, actually, of the special legislative July session. And it, like I said, it puts War and Peace to shame to try to read it. I mean, it's, again, we need Cleveland notes here.
Well, if there's any good news, there's still not a bonding bill. So
yeah, but I still believe that's coming.
I'm sure.
I'm sorry, but I do.
Well, I'm sure.
You know, like I said, we'll have the DFL version, and we'll have the DFL 96% of it version. You know, so what I loved is when Gazelka went from 1 billion to 1.3, and then Walls went from 2 billion to 2.2. That was his way of
negotiation at its finest.
Oh. All right, Jay, you send us off here. All your nicknames. Suffering of Succotash, the Roddy of Piper, the King of Sting, Count of Monte Cristo. Right? Toe. Okay, and there's one other, Master of Disaster. You're styling and profiling, limousine riding, jet flying, wheeling and dealing. Jason Bradley, the third junior, as he sends us off in the SOS, the sign-off sermon.
The third junior, does that even work?
I don't know. I named somebody that when I was younger for some reason. I can't remember his name, but the third junior, for some reason, I called him that. So it's, what do you just
Well,
Jason, sign us off.
Oh, good night, folks. No. Oh, what a summer, huh? Hasn't it been a good summer? Everybody enjoying sending your kids off to summer camp and having big barbecues in your backyard. Oh, I'm sorry, none of that's happened. It's been just fantastic, hasn't it? And I don't know.
Call it a protest.
Yeah, that's all you got to do, I guess. But here we are. You know, we have 1 month left of summer, at least till Labor Day, and you know, all the kids get ready to find out whether they're going back to school or not at that time. And you know, it just confounds me that we sit and we take this stuff, and I don't know if any of you feel helpless. You know, so sometimes I do this. I've devoted a big portion of my life to this, to study what they're doing, to talk to y'all about it, and to go out there and find people and help people that want to fight against what the government is doing. And I feel helpless sometimes. I mean, this is what I do. There are times when I feel claustrophobic and I want to rip that mask off my face because I can't breathe. There are times when I feel like I don't want to do this little song and dance one more time. I want life to return to normal. They don't want life to return to normal. They want to be able to put things into play that are going to make you so not frustrated. They don't think that you're going to be able to vote them out of office, for one. They don't care about whether you're frustrated or not. What they care about is, are they wearing you down? Are you becoming more compliant? Now, granted, I believe that if we're serving a government that is good and they're making laws that help us to protect the liberty of one another, then by all means, that is a government worth working with. But we have a government that is not. We have a government that is supposed to be not our kings and our queens and our rulers. We have a government that was put into place to be stewards of our Constitution. The Constitution is the law of our land, and they are merely stewards that stand in place for a period of time to help our Constitution be the one thing that gives us our liberty. Now, we're granted all of that by God. Our Creator gives us our rights, and we live in that liberty. But it is that Constitution that tells man, hands off. But we don't have a government that believes in hands off. No, we have a government that very much believes in hands on. And they will continue to be hands on and hands on and hands on and hands on until you're so sick and tired you just want to scream, hands off, stop touching me. I know I'm not alone. Yeah, sometimes I feel helpless too. But you know what? We live in America, and we still have a right to petition our government. We still have a right to step in and run for local offices, to run for state offices, to run for federal offices, and change the direction of our country. To once again put people who would agree to be stewards of our Constitution, stewards of our liberty, rather than people who dictate what liberty looks like. Is that you? If you have an interest in politics and you're not involved, you're not helping anybody. You're not helping anybody. But you know what? You can, and you can change it now. Here we are at the recording of this, a couple of days into the new candidate filing cycle. So all of you, county races are spoken for, but let me tell you, I took a little perusal through all y'all's cities today. Took a little perusal through all y'all's school districts today. And there's a whole heck of a lot of races that have no one signed up to run. You want to keep living in this? You want them to keep ratcheting down on you? You want them to keep taking your freedoms away? You want them to keep demanding more of you? Taxes, freedom, what your kids learn or don't learn in school? Fine, just sit back, don't do a thing, because that's where we're headed. But I'm going to tell you this, you can walk into some of those positions today, and the mere fact that you put your name on the dotted line might discourage other people from running, and you might get to walk right into a place on a city council, on a school board, onto a hospital district board. It's worth a shot. If you get a contested race, you can always contact us because we've done this over and over and we know how to win. So we're looking for some good people that are willing to sacrifice a little comfort here and now for a whole lot of independence a little later on. It's going to take a while to turn this ship. It's a big ship, but it starts locally. And we can change a city in just a handful of years if we have people dedicated to making our homes more free. Dedicated to making sure that our children learn math the right way again, that they read the classics, that they understand history, not revisionist history, not the 1619 project, but real history. That they have civics classes again and understand how our government works. We can train the next generation, and we can make changes now. Who's with me? get a hold of us. COMM Solutions, mn@gmail.com. That's COMM Solutions, mn@gmail.com. We are willing to help you. Even if you just want to drop us a line and let us know, hey, I'm in. I filed today. I'm in. If that's you, if you've already put your name in for this election cycle, thank you. Thank you so much for standing up for the cause. If you haven't, you only have until what, Andrew? 11th. August 11th. August 11th is going to come fast. And if your name is not on the dotted line by August 11th, you got to wait another whole 2 years till the next election cycle, unless you have odd year elections next year. But we're going to have a chat about that in a future show, I'm sure. Anyways, you got a little bit of time, but you ain't got a whole lot of time. Do it now. Discourage other people from running. Get in the race. Tell your friends. Tell your neighbors. It is time we take this thing back. This is the people's house. And we can go send all of those guys out with their heads hung in shame because of what they've done to this country. Who's with me? It's time. So get up, get on out, and get that affidavit of candidacy filled out and submitted, and let's go forward. Why? Because we love you, Minnesota, but now it's your turn to get to work.